Hey everyone. Nope.
God damn.
You need to get back in the zone.
You start every episode. Just pretend.
Steve, how are you watching us podcasting? Isn't it Hollywood's biggest night tonight, by the way?
It is Hollywood's biggest night.
Where are you? Why are you
He
there?
doesn't vote for this one. He votes for the saggy one.
I vote for the SAG and it was not nominated this year for an Oscar. So
Damn.
I would have voted for you.
Next year.
I watched your movie this year.
I did too.
And did you think I was going to get nominated?
I thought you were fantastic. You were just the biggest dick. I was proud
Best
of you.
supporting. Yeah.
You were
gave
so
it to
mean.
somebody else. Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's very political. I think that if it wasn't so political, I probably would have been nominated. Anyway, let's not get me upset. How do I start it? Hey, I haven't done
You
this.
say welcome to the Gastroenteritis Blues.
That's it.
I'm Steve Littman here with Dan. Let me get that like that, you know?
Yeah. Hey, welcome to the Gastroenteritis Blues. My name is Steve Littman. I'm back, round of applause. Joined, as always, by Emily Cannell and the person who replaced me in the host chair, Dan Volpone. Dan, how did it feel filling in my shoes as the guy who had to talk and shuffle along each topic? What was it like for you, pal?
Very stressful. I don't want to do it again. I'm glad you're back.
Was there much conversation as to who was going to do it between you and Emily?
No, there's literally none.
I just kind of did it because the last few times, you know how sometimes you just like get disconnected? I usually just take over then, so I just figured I would do it when you weren't here.
Yeah, I made the outline.
Yeah, I did all the pregame work, and that was very helpful.
Which we didn't discuss that either. We
no,
just did it separately.
I was glad you did. I didn't know
together.
anyone even did it until like 5 minutes before the podcast. So it was a good thing someone did. I was gonna be scrambling.
Yeah, we were a great team.
Yeah,
the pod was great, except for the part where Dan was insulting me for Drew's weighing in the chat here, saying that he did do the title and description that you all read. So it was really a team effort. It takes a village when I take a week off. So
I thought he was saying that you forgot to say the title and give us a good description when we started the podcast. But this makes more sense because I remembered you saying.
No. It really, everybody really chipped in as I took a week off. And anyway, the Sixers, Emily, nice to see you. How was bowling today? How'd you do?
Not so great. Not like last week. Last week was top-notch bowling. Today, not so much.
Okay. Well, we'll get them next time. How long is the season? It feels like you've been bowling for 10 years.
I mean, this is season number 2. So but there was a point where I started to get hot, and then the Sixers also started to get hot. And I thought that there was a correlation between my bowling and the Sixers. So I might be responsible for the loss tonight. And for that, I'm sorry.
Well, playoffs are coming up.
I like to take responsibility.
Around.
My team is in first, though. So that's good. Potentially.
That's pretty good.
That's helpful. The Sixers, we should start with tonight. So we're recording this on Sunday night. The Sixers tonight lost to Phoenix. Phoenix is really good. They are just an incredible team. They're best team in the NBA, certainly best team in the West. And they lost. They made it really close. They went on an 8-0 run down the stretch here, but they just couldn't really catch up with Phoenix after they built a big lead in the first quarter. And then after that, they really couldn't keep up with Phoenix. Joel seemed to roll his ankle at some point and then came back in the game. Harden had a bad game offensively, and they just can't really deal with it. Like, they can't, if he's not going to score well, they're going to have a hard time beating elite teams. And so, sort of just plainly, they need him to play better. So in the playoffs, they'll need him to play better. He's still passing the ball great. I do think he's playing better defense than I expected him to, but like, the reason they got him was for him to score like 25 points a game minimum. So he needs to score better, and he didn't tonight. And he's not really jumping out there. And Dan, I think he tweeted about that. And he played really well the other night against the Clippers, and he looked really good. And so been sort of up and down. I don't find myself overly worried about him in like a huge way. Partially just because I feel like it's going to be what it's going to be, and like just hopefully he is healthy when he needs to be healthy. But I wish there were fewer games like this, certainly. But Joel looked great. Maxey didn't have a great game, but really turned it on at a certain point. But Phoenix is really good, and they just can't really not have all their top guys playing well and still beat Phoenix in Phoenix. So yeah, that's my takeaway from it. Emily, did you have anything other than that for this game?
No, not particularly. I kind of watched it on and off as I was bowling, but that all sounds right. Joel just continues to be consistently extremely impressive, night in and night out. So I just would like to commend him for that. I know it means a lot coming from me for him. So
Dan, any other thoughts on this game?
My only thought is like, after a game like this, there's a lot of like, oh, well, like it's the Suns, it's okay. Like, it was the end of a road trip, it was the Suns, and like it's a fine loss. And like, I don't know. Like, obviously they're not gonna win out. And like that's fine. I don't expect them to win every game. But I'm kind of over the like, oh, like it's okay to lose this one kind of thing. Like, because all the reasons given are like reasons you're gonna have to deal with in the playoffs. Like, really good team, like, end of a very tough part of the schedule. Like, on the West Coast, I mean, West Coast would be if you made a finals run, but all of these things are like the kind of thing you say when it's like January, or the kind of thing you say when you're like the Cavaliers or something. Like, I don't know, they had a 15-point lead against a very good team and they blew it in 2 minutes. And it was bad. Like, I don't feel the need to like sugarcoat this loss. It was not a good loss. I don't know, like the Suns are very good for sure. And they're probably the best team in the league right now. But like the Sixers have title aspirations, and I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me to like shrug this off. It's a game they should have won. And a big reason they lost was Harden didn't give him anything. So he made 2 shots. Like, you can't have that. Can't have that. I don't know. They need more from him, and I'm really hoping we have some kind of like Jimmy Butler in his one season as a Sixer flip the switch when the playoffs come kind of thing, because the passivity has not been helpful.
Yeah, it's definitely some your turn, my turn stuff that they're figuring out with him, and I don't know what the best way is, because part of it is like I have enjoyed him. I think the chemistry with Joel is great. I think he definitely, if anything, has too much of a deferential way about him with Maxey, and like ceding to finding spots for other guys. But like when it comes down to it, he needs to put the ball in the basket and like find a way to do that. And they need him to score, because teams are going to key in. Now, they throw doubles at him all the time, even when he's not scoring well. So like they're going to force the ball out of his hands. And like when that happens, I don't blame him. Like if he's not scoring in those situations, I don't blame him. But he's not scoring around the rim a lot, which is the more concerning thing. So and the grifting and the flailing and that's when it gets frustrating for me. And he's not going to his floater at all. And like, so there are ways that he could help himself that I haven't seen him doing lately.
He doesn't look good at the rim at all. And I've seen him look good at the rim even this season. And I know that there have been complaints about him all year, and the Nets fans complain about him. But even we saw his first few games as a Sixer, like there was a lot less flailing. There was more like drawing fouls because they can't guard you, and like just going to the rim and finishing like he can. Like just jump for your layup. Like things we see from good guards. Like Maxey's been finishing well, and like I don't understand what has gotten into Harden, but he's not even jumping at the bat. And I don't. There were a couple where he was clearly fouled and it wasn't called tonight. where it wasn't even like a grifting thing. It was like, well, his arms got hit in like 8 directions, and those aren't on him, and that made the overall thing look worse. But he needs to leave his feet.
Yeah, I mean, that will happen too, though. Like, he's not going to get calls all the time too in the playoffs, and same with Joel. So he's going to have to score without getting calls too. So I'm probably a somewhat less concerned. I think that they're managing the hamstring a little bit too, and I just think that there's a pretty big difference between like a late March game and an actual playoff game, and I think they all know that, and I think they all like know when it's go time, and like even though I think they all probably will want the 1 seed, and we'll talk about seeding here coming up, like I think that they're managing how hard they're going for this right now, and he especially dealing with some level of hamstring tightness or whatever he's dealing with. Like, I think that he knows what the goal is in mind. It doesn't make it easier, especially as a fan, to watch him struggle through some games here, but I'm going to panic, I think, when it's time to panic, especially when he has a night like he had 2 nights ago where he looks like himself and what we need him to be. So, yeah. Outside of this, to go back to the beginning of the week, they had the game against Miami where Miami's fully healthy, and Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton and Korkmaz, they beat a fully healthy Miami team. It was an absolute blast. It was the best, and Maxey is just incredible. Emily, did you enjoy that? Was that up there with your favorite wins of the year?
I did enjoy it. I was just sitting on my couch I didn't go. So I was sitting on my couch just cheering for everything Tyrese Maxey did. He's had a couple of these games, though. It kind of like goes off on Twitter like this kid is a star, like blah, but like he's definitely had games like this already this season that maybe other people weren't as aware of, but we were definitely aware of. So it just seemed like another one of those Tyrese Maxey games in which he is aggressive, isn't afraid to shoot the ball. His shots go in, he does it all. And he just like brings so much energy to the team. And I think I love him. He's great. And Joel loves him, which makes it even better.
Oh my God. So Maxey hits like 2 gigantic threes down the stretch, and Embiid on the bench is just losing his fucking shit.
He's just screaming at him. Like, I don't even think he's saying words. He's just like screaming in his face. It's incredible. It's very like reminiscent of like the TJ Joel picture.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
The other game that came to mind was the one against Memphis. Maxey beating like John Morant and Memphis, and then I think it was the one that Joel he missed with injury, and he like ran out from the tunnel, and it was great. The other, I want to get both of your thoughts on this game, but the other thing, so Joel and Harden didn't play in this game against Miami, and everybody said Bassey was with the team for this game, and everybody went, all right, here we go. DeAndre will play in this game, but finally we'll get some B-ball Paul in there, or we'll get Bassey. Like, finally we'll get to see how one of the young centers looks. And Doc goes, no. We're going to start Millsap, and then we'll play DeAndre. So we'll go double old, and that's what we're going to do. And it's just remarkable that Doc refuses to play either of the young guys. So Emily, were you surprised that he? I guess not.
No.
I mean, of course not. Yeah, I mean, it's just
There has to be something that like they do at practice, like that is just so off the wall that Doc is like, I can't put these guys in a game ever. Like maybe I don't even know. Like maybe every time someone scores, they like do a somersault, and he was like, this will be the laughing stock of the league. Like I can't have these guys in the game because there's no explanation why, especially with their B-ball Paul is a little more erratic, but Bassey has had some like very strong showings in NBA play in the beginning of the season. So I don't know where it has changed, where he is not allowed to touch the basketball floor. I don't know what happened.
Bebo Paul at least gets in garbage time. Bassie hasn't been on the court in ages.
And I would argue that Bassie had more like consistent, normal basketball play because Bebo Paul is just kind of all over the place. He's very fun. I enjoy him. But I feel like Bassie, when he played that one game and we're like, oh, like this could be a legitimate backup center. He had like a bunch of blocks. He looked great. No. I don't get
Paul, just another podcast guest that Emily hates. All of them.
I wasn't technically on that podcast, so
you weren't on the Sam ones. You hate him too. So
exactly.
You know.
On this subject, Doc said, because reporters somehow are asking Doc about why you aren't playing these humans, and instead of playing DeAndre Jordan, who is absolutely horrible. I mean, he is. I have to take the loss on this one because I was like, he's enormous. He'll be fine. Like, he's not fine. He's terrible. He's ridiculously terrible. So Doc goes, we give a lot of talk to rotations around here. I guess it's a Philly thing. I don't know. But I always laugh at it. If we set a rotation and then somebody plays poorly, should we not play someone else off the bench or should we stick to it? So we've got a lot of guys. And clearly, the one thing I will give you is we definitely want to, it's not the rotation to me. It's more figuring out a way to play with one guy on the floor, meaning James and Joel. It's not a Philly thing. Like, Philly cares, and the rotation is just the guys who are playing on the court. It's
outside of the center, it doesn't even make sense because after the Miami game and such, like, I was like, oh, like Furkan's back a little bit. Haven't really seen him since after he was like winning the game for us in Miami. No. Like, no, let's not put him back in. Like, I don't understand it. Dan, like, he's getting hot. Let's not play him.
No, he's gone. Dan, your thoughts on the Miami game, the Maxey, and the backup center conversation 3,000 on the podcast?
No, I mean, it's basically indefensible at this point to be playing these awful old players. They're bad. They're just bad. And like, maybe B-Ball Paul and Charles Bassie will come in and be bad too. But A, it's worth trying. And B, there's just clearly value in youthful energy on the basketball court. Like, at least you get something where like they do something weird or they do something dumb or they, make a play and run the floor, or, just because no one expects a lot from them or they haven't played a lot, they get really excited when they do something small, and like everyone gets excited for them because they've been here more than, a month and they've been putting the work in and they finally get their shot. Like, there's just value to letting the young guys go out there and play, especially in a position where you're already getting nothing anyway. Like, there's value in that. There's value in that energy, that like the energy B-Ball Paul brings. Like, there's value in that on the floor, regardless of if he's a better player than Paul Millsap or DeAndre Jordan, which he is. But like, I can't stand it. It's frustrating because it really shouldn't matter. Like, it's not just, it's like, for a while I've been like, the backup center thing is over discussed. Like, Andre Drummond was, I thought, like, fantastic. I thought Dwight Howard was fine. I think Dwight Howard has been like pretty much fine for the Lakers. Like, he's not the problem with the Lakers. I thought he was fine here. He killed Joel the other night. Like, I think he was fine. Besides, I mean, I know he drove people crazy. I get why. I thought he was fine. Like, I don't think that position is all that important, but like, that's like assuming that you're getting something from it. Like, you're getting nothing from anyone that Doc is playing. Just give someone else a shot.
He can't rebound.
Well,
DeAndre can't rebound. He can't move. He can't.
No, I don't get the point of, and it's not just this. Like, the Lakers were basically built on like, let's get as many guys who were good 5 years ago as we can and see what they can do. Like, that's not a winning strategy. That is like abundantly clear. And the Lakers aren't even the first team to try it. But like, you always see teams do this, where it's like, this guy was good 5 years ago, and then they haven't been good in they haven't even been kind of good in 3 years. And that's what the Sixers are assembling as their, center rotation here. And everyone's going to blame Doc because these are Doc's guys. But like, and I blame Doc for playing them. But it's just frustrating. Like, Daryl was pulling all these guys out of nowhere in Houston, and that's nowhere to be found at this point. There's no creativity with Daryl when it comes to, filling out the end of this roster. It's literally just been, let's get some former All-Stars who are absolutely horrible at basketball at this point in their careers. And it's just such an uncreative, tried and failed million times team building strategy. And I just expected more from the guy we're going to pay $12 million than to play LeBron's version of GM and just like get some random guys who used to be good a long time ago. It's honestly upsetting, and it's not just at the center position. It's like, I think that, the Niang and Drummond signings were great, but like, I don't know. There was also, there was an hour and a half after the Harden trade where something could have been done to try to, improve the roster at the deadline. And there's just been not a lot to, get creative, to get a guy who, might be undervalued, who might work. There's just hasn't even been tried. Like it's not even like a try and fail. Like all of Daryl's acquisitions have been 30-something-year-olds, which was not how it was in Houston. I don't know. Maybe he needs an off season now that Harden's here and Joel's already here. But so far it's been pretty frustrating.
So, speaking of frustrating, the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, has caved. My guy has caved and created basically an exemption that allows athletes and performers who are unvaccinated to play in New York. I can read the thing here. Kyrie Irving will be cleared for home games. He played tonight in home here. He changes the private sector vaccine mandate to allow an exemption for athletes and entertainers in the workplace. Unvaccinated Yankees and Mets players are now also eligible for home games. So it appears that that is the big thing that changed it, that the pressure from the New York baseball teams is like what really did this in, is that those two teams are coming back. And if this was to stay the same here, none of those guys would be allowed to play either. Now, the workers in these stadiums will still be fired if they are unvaccinated. So there is like, in pretty much every city, you can be unvaccinated and play at this point. Like they have waived these mandates. So that's kind of fine. Like the numbers COVID-wise are such that it's like these are no longer mandated and players are allowed to be unvaccinated and play. So it's like, that's okay. But to me, it seems like hypocrisy that the workers in these stadiums are still not allowed, but then he caves on this thing for athletes. So it seems shitty to me that he did this now after talking such a big game for all these months, and now Kyrie's allowed to play, but what can you do? So that's where we're at. Kyrie's back, and that's where we're at. So any comment on what's going on with Kyrie and, Kyrie's back, Dan?
I mean, we've discussed this. I think it's awful that he's basically, he basically won out in this situation. He's going to get his way after all of this. All the Nets fans rooting for this are basically pathetic in my mind. And I don't know. It's bigger than basketball. It sucks. But whatever. He's actually, he's been playing great basketball for the most part, but not tonight. He was actually dreadful tonight in his first home game in Brooklyn. He was 6 of 22 from the floor. They lost by 9 to the Hornets. So hopefully that keeps up, because I don't know. He doesn't deserve to, have this season be a win for him. This is, yeah. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Whatever. We've talked about it. It's so dumb.
Yeah. It's, and like, the lesson being for him that, he just waits around long enough and gets his way. It's fairly shitty. But what are you gonna do? Emily, any comment on where this ended up? Eric Adams said he's going to make tough choices and that generals lead from the front. And when arguing that a vaccine mandate will just end for athletes and entertainers, tough choices take a tough person to make them, and we're not doing it because there are pressures to do it. Yeah, Emily, any thoughts on that?
Like you said, I just think it's shitty. I'm not sure what makes Kyrie more important or special than the people that are working in the stadium or working anywhere else. I mean, agree with the mandates. I think everyone should be vaccinated, but if you're going to make them, I don't see why Kyrie is on a pedestal and doesn't have to follow them, or any other athletes or entertainers. I think it's stupid. So yeah, that's what I think.
So Steve, are you exempt?
Am I exempt? I am exempt. And actually, Eric Adams came to my apartment and took the vaccine out of me. It's a service that they provide here in New York. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. As a New York entertainer, they now remove the vaccine from you.
You're not even allowed to have it.
No, like, you're not allowed.
Like you could. No.
No. You're not allowed to have it. No, yeah. They take away my performer card now. Performers, athletes like me and Kyrie. I'm actually both because I'm very good at basketball. So elsewhere in the East, before we talk about seeding, the Heat are imploding. The Heat are finally healthy. And they lost to the Sixers without Harden or Embiid. Then they lost to the Warriors without Steph, Clay, or Draymond. And during that game, Jimmy Butler said some wild shit to Spoelstra, and Udonis Haslem tried to fight him. He tried to fight Spoelstra, and they had a giant kerfuffle there. So
like a Will Smith, Chris Rock situation over at the Heat,
Will
apparently.
Smith, Chris Rock, listen, colleagues of mine, we're all in the same union, so I'm trying to lay low right now. So I don't exactly know what's going on here. Emily's sending DMs while I'm talking about basketball. It's exactly wild. Know what's happening. I don't know if that's a stunt or not.
I don't think it is. It doesn't seem it. He was dropping F-bombs and such, and those get bleeped out.
Do you think he actually walked up there and punched him in the face?
Did you watch the video?
I did watch the video, but Chris Rock barely moved. He's got an iron jaw, if so.
I don't know. Well, apparently the crowd was silent and Will was very angry. Those were the vibes from the theater. But
no security jumped out.
It's Will Smith. What are you going to do? He's going to win an Oscar tonight.
He's also going to win an Oscar tonight, like 100%.
Yes.
So
I can't wait for that speech. Back to the Heat.
All right, I have to call Will now because we're both in Philadelphia, both actors. All right. Dan wouldn't understand. He's not an actor like us.
You're in New York.
We're both from Philadelphia. God, Dan, you're such a non-actor like us, Emily.
Why am I an actor?
Okay. Where was I? All right. Where do you want the Sixers to end up seeding wise? I'll start with Emily.
I think I would like them to end up 2.
Tell me why.
Well, if this seeding stays where it is right now, yes. So then Cleveland and Charlotte and Brooklyn and Atlanta will play, right? And then I imagine Brooklyn will win against Atlanta, and I don't really care who wins the other one. And then Brooklyn will win that middle game, which will get them into the playoffs, and then the Sixers will play whoever is victorious will play that other team. One of Cleveland or Charlotte, correct?
If Brooklyn wins their play-in game, then they're in the 2-7 matchup.
But no, I don't think so, because isn't it 7, 8, and 9 and 10, and then whoever wins 7, 8 is in, And then whoever wins 9 and 10 has to play the
if
winner
Brooklyn's
of the
in
other one.
9.
Yeah, which is where they are
Yes.
right now. So I
really
want,
don't know.
because so no matter
So
what,
they're tied with Charlotte at 8 and 9, and Charlotte has the tiebreaker.
yeah.
So that could really go either way. But it would be interesting if Brooklyn did stay in the 9, because the Hawks are not like a pushover team. Like the Hawks beat the Sixers in the playoffs and are basically running it back. And
Collins is out for the year, right?
Yes.
But I mean, Trae Young could really get hot, and like
Mhm.
I would obviously pick Brooklyn to win that game, but that's not a guaranteed win. I mean, they just lost to Charlotte tonight.
The playing is wild.
Well, especially
you
that
think-
9-10 game where you have to win 2 straight, and like
Yeah.
that's tough. And I mean, where it gets interesting is right now, Cleveland is a game behind Toronto, and Toronto's been playing well, and Cleveland hasn't. But if something happens and Cleveland passes Toronto again, and Toronto falls back to the 7, even if Brooklyn gets the 8, or if, say, Toronto loses the first playing game and Brooklyn's in the 9, and then either way, we might end up with a situation where Brooklyn has to go to Toronto if Toronto falls into the play-in, and Kyrie can't go to Toronto,
Correct.
which gets really interesting.
So, and what about, personally, what I really don't want them to do is duck Brooklyn intentionally, like rest guys to get
I don't
out of the
think that's
Brooklyn
gonna
matchup.
I don't want them to do
Like,
it intentionally, but I
that's
also don't want to see Brooklyn in
losership.
the first round.
Agree with that. So
The 2
agree
teams
with
that
that.
scare me are Brooklyn and Boston. Anyone else, I'm
Yeah.
fine matching up with.
Well, they're certainly not going to match up with Boston in the first round,
No.
right? Like, Boston right now is just moved ahead of the Sixers by half a game for first. That'll come down to the wire. Like, I don't really think that there's anything they can do about it until probably like the last day of the year. Like, win as many games as you can, just stay healthy. Like, I hope they get the first seed. Like, that would be nice. Home court, all of that. Like, what happened last year doesn't scare me off of the first seed. Like what happened last year, I think was a lot more due to whatever happened to Ben Simmons, than the first seed, inherently. But yes, of course, I would rather not play Brooklyn, especially now that Kyrie can play everywhere. Dan, is there one particular seed that you want, given how things are looking, or is it just so volatile up and down the East that you don't know?
No, it's too weird. I mean, I want the 1 seed because I think it'd be great for Joel's MVP case. But if you're talking like strategically, no, there's too much up in the air. I think the ideal situation is Boston gets the 1, and the Sixers get the 2 or 3, so they're on I guess like the 3, I would say. So they just definitely can't. If the Sixers got the 3, Boston has the 1. The Sixers can't face Boston till the conference finals, and then Brooklyn would have a shot. They could get the 7, but if they stay in the 9 seed, they can't get the 7. So then they could end up in the 8. You get a Brooklyn Boston first round, and whoever wins that, first of all, one of them's out, and whoever wins, you don't even have to play them to the conference finals. And I think that's the most ideal, is that you can avoid. First of all, you definitely don't have to play both, and that the one you would play, you wouldn't even theoretically face him until the conference finals. So you let someone else wear him down. You let someone else have a shot to beat him. Who knows? Like, injuries happen as you get further into the playoffs. Obviously, you don't root for that, but it's the kind of thing you want to, be in a position to capitalize on. Like the Raptors got a title based on the Warriors getting hurt. It's still the title's a title. I wish the Sixers were there to take advantage of that kind of thing if it had to happen. So, I think that's most ideal, but everything is too weird right now. I don't see how you can just purposely play yourself into a certain seed, because I think you just try to win at this point. I mean, you need more than anything, the Sixers need time to try to gel and figure things out together. So
for sure. And if they win a bunch of games that are in the 1 seed or 2 seed or whatever, it means that things are going well, and that Harden and Embiid and Maxey are winning games together, and that would be a good situation. But boy, that'll be some fucking first round if they're matching up with Ben Simmons has a herniated disc in his back, so I don't think he's playing this year, folks. Like along with whatever else, I certainly have no idea how he could play basketball with a herniated disc in his back. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. All right, we are going to break. When we come back, we're going to try to figure out what's going on with Will Smith and Chris Rock. But when we come back, we're going to talk about All NBA, the MVP race, and anything else going on in basketball. And we're back. All right. As for All NBA, this year, once again, the NBA has befitted All NBA voters with the opportunity to vote for both Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid as centers and forwards. Personally, I don't give a fuck as long as Joel Embiid is on the first team and is the MVP. Put Nikola Jokic wherever you want. Put him on the third team. I don't give a shit. I don't root for that guy. I don't care. I don't have a vote. Put him off the whole team. I don't care. I do think he should be on the first team, so you should vote him as a forward. But again, last year they put Embiid on the second team because you absolutely must vote for him in the position that he's in. You'll know that these are not real teams. They don't actually play each other. So it doesn't really matter what position they play. So it doesn't matter. They don't meet up and play each other eventually. There's
That'd
no
be fun.
reason, right? There's no reason that it shouldn't just be the 15 best guys, in descending order, and 5 best guys, and then the 5 best guys, and the 5 best guys. Dan, I know that you have a thing about how last year they had this opportunity and they didn't give it to Joel, and now you think this year, because the better season is Joel's, he's going to get the center spot, but you think they're going to give this forward spot to Jokic instead of giving it to Joel last year. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I like whatever. It's better to get it right later than never, but I don't think it's a coincidence that all of the, and I mean everyone who had a lot to say last year about how, oh, they're both centers, you can't do that. Now that it's Jokic, and I'm not going to speculate on why, but they all love Jokic, and now that it would screw him, this has to be addressed. This is fine when it was Joel. This can't happen again. Now I see the error in my ways. Zach Lowe and all the other people who everyone obsesses over for some reason, even though whatever.
It's because no one talks about him and they want to help his feelings, and they got to give him first team and All NBA because no one talks about him. He's just under the radar.
It's just like, I couldn't tell you why all of these NBA people love Jokic, besides the fact he's a very good player. Like, I don't mean, like, I understand why people like his game and stuff like that, but why we're all now in a rush to, address this now that it would screw him. It's a bit ridiculous to me and very unsurprising. I am not in the least bit surprised that because it's now Nikola Jokic who this would interfere with, we now need to address this. And now we need to figure out who we're going to vote it forward, and we're all going to be very open and talk about it. And we're all going to say how we were wrong last year because we have to help Jokic. It's not a coincidence, and it's not a surprise, and no one will admit to it, but it's just clearly true.
Yeah. Emily, any thoughts here on the All NBA thing?
Not particularly. I don't care.
And as for the MVP thing, I don't know if this is like Philadelphia colored glasses things, and I'm knocking wood, but like, it seems like it's Joel's here, right? Like it seems like, given the way the Sixers have played and they're half game out of first, like right now I think they're technically in fourth, like they have the easiest schedule of the, top contenders here throughout the rest of the year. And given the narrative around, him, Giannis and Jokic, and he hasn't won it yet, and all the Ben shit that he had to, keep the team up for. It seems like it's really his to win. And I know that I think, you guys would know this better than me, but the odds, I think, say that too. It seems like it's really his to win at this point, which is great. I think he deserves it statistically and otherwise. Is that your read on it as well, Emily? Like, obviously, this is what we want, but it also seems like this is the way it's going.
Yeah, I felt recently in the media, there's been less of the like, whose award, like Embiid versus Jokic or Embiid versus Giannis. Like, they've all kind of cooled down, and I think it has just kind of like settled on Embiid. He is the odds-on favorite, and like the sports book, he is like minus 150, and everyone else like plus 200. So he's definitely the favorite. It just kind of feels like it's his at this point. I don't really know what he could do to, or someone else could do to leapfrog him. I don't want anyone to leapfrog him. I want him to win this award. He deserves it. But yeah, that would make me really happy.
Dan, is this the feeling that you get as well?
Yeah, he seems to be the favorite. I mean, I honestly think that there was a window for Jokic to pass him the last couple of weeks, and Jokic has just been really bad the last couple of weeks for his standards. I mean, he's been a minus almost every game they played the last couple of weeks, and I think that there's a week left, and not a week left, but there's like 7 or 8 games left, which in my head was a week, but I realized that'll play out over a couple of weeks because they don't play every night. But there's time left, and if Embiid stinks or if Embiid gets hurt and can't play, and Jokic plays great, then no, I don't think Embiid has it locked up or anything. And even then, who knows? Maybe Embiid has a good last week, and the voters are just going to be annoying. But if I had to guess, I would guess, and the odds reflect that right now Embiid should be the favorite. If it ended today, we would expect Embiid to win the award. So, we'll see. It'd be really, really cool if he did. I was too young to remember Iverson winning, so for me, it would basically be the first, Sixer to win MVP that I can, remember at all. So it'd be really cool, and we love Joel, so it'd be very exciting.
And I think the only other real Sixer in awards consideration would be Maxey for most improved. I don't think that he would win it. There's a possibility he could be in there for like top 3 here because he hits real statistical jumps. I think he's up 9 points and stuff like that. But do you guys think that he should really be in the thick of it? I think like John Morant and I'm not exactly sure. Desmond Bain, there are guys that are really up there for that. But do you think Maxey has a real case for this? I know that they tend to not give it to second-year guys, but do you think he's got a real case, Dan?
For most improved?
Yeah.
No, nor should he. No, not at all. I can read you the odds real quick.
No, I mean, like, I don't mean that he's gonna win it, but do you think that he should be in like consideration for it?
No, I don't. First of all, I don't think he should win. If you look at, he's 6th in the odds for most improved. He's plus 5,500. John Moran is minus 800. If you look at the players in between, I mean, and the thing is, I'm not big on like 2nd and 3rd year guys winning the award. Like Morant's in his 3rd year, Maxey's in his 2nd, but they are eligible. They do tend to win. And so if we're going to allow that, then like John Moran is more deserving. Darius Garland is more deserving. DeJounte Murray is definitely more deserving and more traditionally, in my view, like someone who should win the award. We're talking guys who made, their first All-Star teams this year. That wasn't Maxey wasn't even close to being an All-Star this year. Miles Bridges was a borderline All-Star. Desmond Bain has been great this year. And I mean, I think I would be fine putting Maxey ahead of Bain. They're kind of like the same, but those other guys are deserving to be ahead. And I think I mean, even like Tyler Hero is way behind Maxey in the odds. And I think part of that is that he's going to win sixth man. And so he's not going to win another award. But like, he's a guy who kind of in that same sense, like stunk last year and then has been great this year. And part of it is that he was good and then fell off last year.
Right.
And so people are less inclined to be like,
He's making
really
more shots
improved
this
as
year.
opposed to he just got back to where he was.
Right.
But no, I don't know. He might finish in the top 5 or like be 6th or something, but no, I don't think he has a real case for it. And he won't be close, and he should, in my view.
Emily?
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I think it's kind of like good that he's even in the top 6. Like, I feel like that's a good showing for him. He made a really big jump. And I also think that a lot of those guys that are ahead of him play like a much bigger role on their teams than Maxey plays. I mean, not that he doesn't play a big role, but like Ja is the Joel of the Grizzlies, you know? So when he makes a jump, it really makes a jump for his whole team, or Maxey making the jump doesn't really have that same effect on the Sixers because they have other players with a bigger like market share of the weight in carrying their team. So, but I think he has had a great year, and just because he doesn't win most improved player doesn't mean that it is not extremely exciting to see the jump he made and hope he continues to make those jumps. So,
I got one for you guys. So for speaking of this conversation, Ja Morant's going to win this award. If you don't know the answer, if you do know the answer, don't answer. If you don't, I want to hear your best guesses. What do you think the Grizzlies' record is when Ja Morant does not play a game this year?
I think I know this answer, so I will abstain.
All right.
I have no idea. I don't even know how many games. Can you give me how many games Ja Morant hasn't played in?
I believe it's 18.
18. Okay. I'm going to say that it's either like 2 and 16 or like 15 and 3.
Well, yeah, the answer.
They're 16 and 2 without Ja this year.
So they're just good all the time.
Unbelievable. Which is unbelievable. Which isn't to say he doesn't deserve that award. I think he does, and he's a great player. I don't think that it'd be fair to judge him on that. There's probably a little bit fluky, although they do have some really good players I like, and I don't think that he's the only one responsible for their success or anything like that. But I don't think it should be used to act like he's not good when he's a very good player. So I just think it's a very funny stat. Like, that's crazy.
Brainy.
Nice.
She wants something from her dad.
All right, Rainey got startled by something.
Oh, Steve thinks Doc should be coach of the year. He put that in Doc.
Definitely.
Or the thumbs up guy behind Doc could also be in the running.
Sorry about that. Oof, that was terrifying.
We should like put a spoiler, like a alert in the beginning so that people be like at the 45-minute mark, be aware if you're driving, don't be scared.
Jesus Christ. There's some noise outside that really scared her. She's back asleep. All right, we're good.
I wish I could do that.
Any March Madness takes from you guys? St. Peter's lost today. I know Philadelphia claimed them. There's always a Villanova's in the Final Four. People fight about Villanova being Philadelphia or not. I don't care.
You're basically from Villanova.
Yeah, my family lives not in Villanova, but an outer suburb. Anything on March Madness? Do you guys have brackets that are active right now?
I do.
Sucks, but
mine sucks.
I made one.
I have one team left in the Final Four.
Me too. It's Villanova. So
I have Kansas.
I
always pick Kansas because Joel went there. I also had Kentucky in the like finals because Maxey went there, and that really screwed me over. So, and I always pick Villanova to lose in the first round because I hate them. So,
well, they played Delaware this year.
And they also played Delaware this year.
Delaware.
I did. Delaware could have been St. Pete's. They just weren't.
They just weren't good.
They were fine. Jameer Nelson Jr. plays for Delaware. It's fun.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't an insult. I mean, Pitt didn't even make the tournament. So.
And did you know that Delaware's head coach is the brother of the creator of Mayor of Easttown?
No.
It's pretty
did not
cool.
know that.
It was pretty cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what the standings are. Emily, can you please update our standings, please?
I can.
I'm in first, right? Oh,
So this week, Dan went 2-2. He had the Sixers losing to the Clippers and the Heat and the Suns. So they won 2 of those games. And Steve went 3-1 because he thought they were going to lose to the Heat. And I am the only one that has faith in this team. I went 4-0 because I got all the games right this week. Therefore, the current standings, I have taken the lead at 48-27, then Steve at 47-28, and then Dan is 5 games back at 42-33.
over 500 though. So
Yeah, well over 500.
yeah, that's pretty good.
Right? Yeah.
So
Like
you're
4
5
games over 500.
Dan, you're 5 games back with like 10 to play. You really got to make a run.
I'm just gonna give up. So I don't want to. All my fans out there who every week are just on the
You're
edge
gonna
of their
put in the
seat wondering
bench?
who I'll pick. I just want them to know I'm throwing the towel in.
Are you putting DeAndre Jordan and Paul Millsap in, or are you putting Paul Reed and Charles Bassey?
I'm putting Charlie Brown in.
Oh, okay.
All right. This week, the Sixers play 4 games. They play home against Milwaukee, at Detroit, and then a back-to-back. They play in Charlotte, or no, I'm sorry, home against Charlotte, and then at Cleveland. So home against Milwaukee, then at Detroit, home against Charlotte, at Cleveland. That last 2 is a back-to-back. So we're going to start off with Dan, who has given up.
Yeah, I have given up, and because I've given up, I feel no need to pick against what you guys are going to pick, because I've given up. I'm going to say they go 4-0, and here's why. None of these
You've given
teams
up?
scare me, and I'm in playoff mode. So once I'm in playoff mode, I can't pick against the Sixers to lose to any of these fraudulent teams. The Bucks did just win a title, but they're fraudulent anyway. So yeah, I mean, I just don't see no chance they lose any of these games. Come on. The most losable game on the schedule this week is the Pistons, but I'm going 4-0.
Excellent. Emily.
So I'm gonna have them go 3-1. I think I have them losing to Charlotte. I just think they're gonna drop one of these games. They seem to have the Cavs number this year. Detroit sucks, and Joel needs to reassert himself as the rightful king of Philadelphia. Therefore, I believe they will beat the Bucks at home. So win-win, loss-win.
And I will say that they are going to drop the Cleveland game. Even though they beat Cleveland pretty much all the time, I think they're going to rest everybody in that road back-to-back. At the end there, I think they're even going to rest Maxey. And we'll get double old at center. And so they'll go 3-1. And that's what I say. That's it. As you know, you should subscribe to the YouTube. You should follow us at Gastro Blues Pod, Third and Girl, Steve J. Littman, D.A. Peltz, 13. Hope Chris Rock and Will Smith settle their differences. We have to go and watch to see if Will Smith is about to get an Oscar, see what happens.
I won't be watching that, but you let me know.
Okay.
We will.
And you have better things to do.
I don't get the whole thing that they do. I'm going to go watch Texas play. Who are they playing? Stanford? I don't know. I'm going to catch the end of that game when we're done.
All right. Well, listen, we
Wait.
all have our.
Yeah,
Will-
Texas and Stanford. 2-point game with 3 minutes left. That's exciting.
Will Smith is tweeting things. This is wild.
What did he tweet?
He's tweeted, "Welp," and then he tweeted, "I'm sorry if you're offended." I don't know this here. Look,
Is
Drew's
it really
Drew's
his-
playing the video.
He spelled whelp with an H. That's weird.
That's how I would spell
slapped
welp.
him?
Why?
he slapped him right in the kisser. Listen, especially on a night like tonight, be safe and be great.
Oh, this is a fake Will Smith. This is ginger-haired white man. That's not the one we're talking about.
God damn it.
False news. False news.
That was
fake news.
That was a tough look for the podcast. For that. Wow.
Between that and the barking.
But Stephen A. Smith tagged this Will Smith in a tweet, so it's not just me that was fooled by it.
Stephen A. Smith is tweeting some weird stuff right now. It's pretty funny.
All right. That's it. We love you. Be safe and be great.
Bye.
Goodbye.